we're going to be doing a full body stretch today, and I'm very excited to do this. Now, we're going to start with the neck. Just gently doing active ranges of motion, tucking the chin up and looking up towards the ceiling. Now, if it puts any type of strain on your neck to look up towards the ceiling, then just do what you can. And now to the side. So we're only going to do about 5 movements per movement. Don't forget to breathe through this. Enjoy the stretching. Stretching is something very therapeutic for our bodies, and it's something that you should be able to enjoy. Now we're going to look side to side, just as best range as you can. Do not strain yourself. This is just something to help get the blood flowing, get the blood moving, and increase your overall health. Now shrug the shoulders towards the ears and press them down. And up and down and up and down. And continue. And now kind of squeeze your shoulder blades together and forwards, squeezing them together. So don't stick out your chest here. Just squeeze your shoulder blades back and forward and back. Just warming up the shoulder blades here. Now really full movement. Include arching of your back, look up with your neck and going forward. So now we're starting to make the movements even bigger as we begin to warm up more and more. Now reach in a V and almost imagine your shoulder blades moving in the direction your arms are pointing. So they squeeze up outwards and then squeeze back down like a V towards your tailbone. And now final move, squeeze your shoulder blades back together. Really allow your chest to open right up here. Now we're going to side bend and side bend to the other side. So these movements are a little bit quicker. Again, the purpose here is to get the blood flowing, because we want to pressure wash our insides. We want those arteries and veins to really get cleaned up so we have no plaque buildup, if we can say that. That's the metaphor we're going for here, okay? And now we're going to twist and then release, and twist to the other side and release. So this is almost, imagine like an octopus in the water as we just let our arms swing and we twist back and forth. If you're doing this in the morning, this is great. This will really get the oxygen going throughout your blood. Now clasp your arms together. Inhale and hold your breath here and side bend. So keep holding your breath as you're side bending each. This will really help to stretch out your lungs as well and the other musculature around your rib cage. And now exhale and hold your breath and side bend each way. Keep holding your breath here. We're now starting to work on controlling our breathing and being conscious of our breathing. Okay, now take a deep breath in here. And really open up. Hold that. Squeeze everything back. Now put all your weight in your back hands and just let your chest lift up towards the ceiling. Really open it up. According to traditional Chinese medicine, we're opening up our Ren here. That's a channel that goes right down the middle in front of our bodies. Good. And now recover here. So go into child's pose and go into cat and camel. So basically copy my exact motion here. So tucking everything in and looking up towards the ceiling. We're really trying to work each vertebra right from the base of our head to our tailbones. We're really trying to get that movement as flexible, as mobile as possible. Now we're going to kind of roll from the base of our spine up top. Now our head tucks and then back down. So it's like a worm going from one end to the other. And we're focusing on each vertebra slowly spreading apart or coming together. So that's away. Now again, start at the base and really work through that entire spine. Now our head. Now we're going to reverse. Start with the head, and then now the tailbone will go first. Our head will be the last to go. Then our head will be the first to go. And then our tailbone will be the first to go. So it's the same thing, but just reversed. Now, if this is just too much for you and you're getting frustrated, just go back to the regular cat and camel in the future. Now return to child's pose because we're going to try to reach and crawl on about a 45-degree angle. Really breathe, inhale and exhale here. And walk to the other side. Inhale, exhale. So we're trying to work the spine in all different angles, in all different positions, including our arms. We're trying to work it in all different angles, in all positions. Now stretch out the bicep here and the front of our shoulders. So go out flat in your stomach. And we're going to have our right arm, or if you're mirroring me, your left arm. And you're going to twist, kind of pushing away. And just kind of sit here. And breathe. And slowly untwist yourself. And we're going to do the other side. So stretch out the other side. Push yourself away. And breathe. So what I'm doing is my hand isn't flat. My index finger and my pinky finger is up to. So my pinky finger is up towards the ceiling. My index finger is on the floor. Good, really breathe. This is very therapeutic for the spine as well because we're a little bit twisted in this position. Now we will go into a T-spine twist. So on your knees, and you're just going to kind of thread the needle. That's what it's called. So you're kind of putting one arm as a stabilizer and poking through to the other side and trying to twist as much as you can. It's very good for the upper extremities, good for strength, even good for your core, but definitely therapeutic for your upper spine. Don't forget about breathing here. Do not hold your breath. And of course, if this is too painful for you, just move on to the next. So now on all fours onto your elbows, and you're going to let your shoulders fall towards each other. So squeeze them and then push them apart. And squeeze them together and push them apart. So we're just kind of, again, getting a different range here, working the muscles, because oftentimes these muscles are very weak. So this is just a little bit of an additive to strengthen them before your day at work. Good, and now we're going to press up into a baby cobra. And if you need to rest your chin, just put your hands right on your chin. So bend your elbows and bring your hands to your chin if this is not comfortable for you to hold up yourself. And as always, make sure to inhale and exhale and breathe. Do not hold your breath. You want to breathe through this one. Now flatten yourself out. Arms out to the side. And if you can, push yourself back up. And now we're going to go into a full cobra and then push back again. So we're going to repeat this a couple times. We're not holding it as much because we're starting to stretch the lower body. We're starting to also stretch the hip flexors in the front, but also work on the flexibility of our lower back. This is a great exercise for any disc issues. But again, if this is painful for you, I recommend going to see your local manual osteopath just to check. So now let's further move on to stretches of the lower body. So we're going to sit in this froggy stance. If this is too much for you, if the heels are too close, what you're going to do is you're actually going to walk your heels out away from you, and then it won't be as much of a stress. It won't be as painful. And let me rephrase that. When I say painful, it shouldn't be painful as in it's more than a 7 out of 10. But it should feel like a comfortable stretch that you'd be comfortable holding for 5 minutes if you had to. That's the level of a stretch we want to get to. So now in this position, press and squeeze your knees towards the floor. And squeeze. So we're really working on stretching out those adductors, that groin area. And again, put both your hands down behind you and put your weight there. And just let your knees fall out to the side. And it's really important to concentrate on breathing here. If you're not used to this motion, it might be a little much, it might be a little intense. So you might have to stack a couple pillows underneath your hips, underneath your knees if it's too intense of a stretch for you at this point. But every day, it will get better and better. Our bodies are very good at adapting, so you just have to give it the environment to adapt. Now again, warming up our hips again, we're just going to rotate them in and out. Very gentle, nothing extreme. Keep your back nice and straight, mind you. Don't allow yourself to slouch. And now, let's try to reach for our toes here. Now again, I was a dancer and a gymnast, so I've always been quite flexible. So if this is too much for you, don't go down to this distance. So the top of my back is bent there, bent over, but my lower back is as straight as I can get it. Now, every once in a while, you're going to see my head pop up. It's because I'm giving myself a little bit of a break from the stretch. So that's what you're going to do as well. So you're reaching forward as much as you can comfortably. Then you're going to walk up to where you don't feel the stretch anymore. That's how far you're going to walk up. Then after a few moments, like you see me doing now, you're going to crawl back to where you feel a good stretch again. There should be no burning, no tingling, or no numbness developing here. Want to crawl back up again till you don't feel the stretch at all. And go down. This method of coming a little bit off and going forward to the stretch is what I used to do for my dancers. And they dramatically increase their flexibility in a short period of time. So it's definitely a phenomenal technique that you can add to any stretch. So we're going to continue to do that. Just lift your head. So you see how I don't have to come all the way up. If you just need to lift your head to alleviate pressure from the stretch, that's all you do. Good, and just kind of keep going forward. So tuck forward again. Hold and breathe, embrace the stretch. And off. And go forward. And come back off. Completely eliminate any tension you feel. And tuck forward again and try to reach a little bit farther every single time. Now, when you come up, we're going to rotate our legs inwards and outwards. The reason why we're doing this is because if we just stay in one position, that's only going to stretch one part of the fiber of the muscle. And we want to get all the fibers of all the muscles in the hamstring area. So rotating your legs in and out in a calm, controlled manner is a really good way to achieve that. And you're going to notice there's certain areas that are tighter when you bring it either inward or out. Now we're going to recover and stretch further the adductor part of it. Now I have bony little ankles, so this was really hurting me. So I put a pillow underneath. So if you need to do the same as well, go for it. And again, just reach as far as you can comfortably. I'm pretty much folding in half here. And now I also started to flex and point my foot. And I want you to do the same thing. So what I'm doing is every time I flex and point, I either move up a little bit or I go down. Just do your best to follow along here, and now rotate everything in and out. And just keep that pattern working. And only stretch within your comfort level. All stretches should be at the intensity that you're able to hold the stretch for 5 minutes. So keep that in mind. Now let's try to tackle the other side. So reach forward as much as you can comfortably. But at the same time, challenge yourself. You want it to be just enough that you could stand it for 5 minutes. Now you're going to flex and point and come up a little bit. Flex and point and recover a little bit. So it should get easier. Now you're going to go the opposite way. Go down a little bit more, inch down. Good. And come back up, flex and point. And come back down, flex and point. Now twist in and out. Gently moving back and forth in a rocking motion. And we'll recover, get the pillow out of the way, and move on to lying on the back. Now don't get too excited because we have other stretches to do. So we're going to make a figure 4 and twist to kind of work on that hip that is twisted over the leg that's on the floor. So we're going to actually turn towards the foot that's on the floor. And see how I'm using my hand there? I'm actually pushing my leg away from me. It's so I get a deeper stretch in the hip. And now we're going to hold and breathe through this. Inhaling and exhaling. Controlling your breath and gently recovering. We're going to twist to the other side now. Again, we're going to still keep that leg away from us and keep pushing away as we gently rock. This is also a great exercise for the lower back as well. And now we'll stay in the middle and push and grab. So I'm grabbing my leg that's right underneath my knee. I don't want to grab the top of my knee. And just gently kind of rock back and forth here. Again, we're all about getting the different fibers of the muscle. We don't want to just stay in one position. That's not going to do us any good because we are very dynamic creatures and we move. We don't just stay in one position. We're lifting in all sorts of different positions and we're moving in all sorts of different positions and angles. And so we have to be accommodating to that. Now push that knee away. So try to hold that position as best we can and push again and release. Push and release. So this is quite intense, so that's why I keep going off and on, gently doing that backward and forward motion because I want to get that muscle working without hurting myself. So again, we're going to twist towards the side that we have our foot planted on. And with the other hand, we're going to keep pushing our knee flat. We don't want our knee to be close to us in this case. We want to try to push it away. This will help us to get a better stretch. Now hold it here. Breathe. Keep that knee pushing away from you. With every exhale, the stretch is getting deeper and deeper, and you can feel the muscles relaxing where you're stretching. Now back to neutral, and we're going to rotate the other way. And back and forth. Back and forth. Good. Keep that rhythmical rocking pattern going. Really keep rocking. And now we're going to be in the middle and hold and really press that knee back. Again, it's all about making sure the knee is being pressed back. So we can grab our knee here and then just gently rock back and forth. It's also like a little bit of a mini massage for your lower back as well. So you're hitting two birds with one stone at this point. Good, keep breathing in and out. And eventually we're going to be pressing our knee here. So try to keep that same position with our knee towards our chest. And with the other arm, we're just going to gently press and release the knee. Press and release. Press and release. Press and release. Press, release, press, release. And we're going to slowly recover. Grab your knee like I'm doing here if you need to guide it down towards the floor. And now we're going to kind of scoop around with one leg. So really try to reach it up and over on the one side. So almost try to touch your knee to your opposite shoulder. And this is just to now play around with the range of motion we just gained. And we'll do the other side. So this should be comfortable, this should be fun, this should not be painful. And if I'm moving too fast, just take it down a notch and go at your own pace. You will get better at this. Now let's roll onto our side. We're going to stretch out our quad muscles. So you're going to try to grab the foot here. If this is too much, pause the video. And what you're going to do is get a towel, wrap it around your ankle, pull it towards your glutes, and stretch that way if you can't bring your knee this close to your glute like I could before I could grab it. Just really breathe here. We're not in a rush right now. With every exhale, your quad muscles releasing more and more, and the tension is going away. Slowly release, and we'll now roll on to the other side. Grab the toes or the towel, and same thing, stretch here. I'm really bending my bottom leg because it gives me a little bit more stability as opposed to my leg being straight. Again, with every exhale, your quad muscle is releasing all its tension. And the stretch is feeling good. It's not painful. And gently release. Now we're going to work on our hamstrings again, different positions. So keep your foot flexed. And we're just going to bend and straighten the leg as much as we can here. So if this is even too much for you, just lower your hand down your thigh towards your glutes, and that will lessen the angle if you can't get to this 90-90 position. And if you can get to this position but your leg doesn't fully straighten, just do the best you can. So you can see here now, every time I'm doing this, every time I'm straightening it, I'm pulling my leg closer and closer towards my chest. So if you're able to, if you have the physical capability to do so, I want you to move on to this step as well. Remember, breathe, really embrace the stretch, keep that foot nice and flexed. There should be no numbness, tingling, or burning. So now we're going to hold the position where we could if we had to hold it for 5 minutes, and we're going to windshield wiper our leg back and forth, back and forth. So this is great for any posterior chain tightness in the hamstrings or in the calves, any sciatica that's caused by piriformis syndrome. This can be helpful. Good. Now let's switch to the other side. So this side I'm going to show you a little bit more of a variation. So every time I bend and straighten, I bring my leg back even closer towards my chest almost every time. So if you are at your max already, or if you can't even get to 90, again, just work with what you can and let your body adjust each time you do this video. The more you do this, the more you'll improve. With every physical demand you place on your body, it will adapt to accommodate those changes. So if you stretch, the more you stretch, the more flexible your body will become. Now when you're at a comfortable range, see this side is farther, I just want to give it as an example, windshield wiper back and forth. When your hip is higher like mine, you're not able to windshield wiper as much. But when it's lower, closer to 90 or less, you're able to windshield wiper more. So just work with what you got. No pressure. Just progress. We're not going for perfection here. We're going for progress. So now we're going to sit flat on our feet. This is going to help to stretch out muscles right in the front of our legs, such as the tibialis anterior muscle. So that's that muscle that helps to flex our foot and bring our toes to the nose, basically. And we're going to try to clasp our hands together here. So you're going to try to reach your fingers for one another here. And don't forget to inhale and exhale. And if you can, you're going to slowly lean forward and try to hold and inhale and exhale. This intensifies the stretch. So if it's too much, recover. And go again if able. Remember to inhale and exhale. So now if this is too much because you're already getting too much of a stretch underneath your feet, don't worry about the shoulders here. We're just trying to hit 2 birds with 1 stone. Just sit on the backs of your, or I guess the fronts of your feet, and just sit there and don't worry about the shoulders. But if you are able to do this, lean forward as much as you can. You'll notice I wasn't able to lean forward as much on this side because it was way too intense for me. Just try to do the best you can. And lean forward as best you can. And slowly release if you're able to do the shoulders. Now reach everything up towards the ceiling one last time. And now tuck your toes right towards one another. And you can kind of come up and move them around and work the toes and the angles and the ankles. Even in and out. Really just work the bottoms of the feet and really stretch that out. This is great for plantar fasciitis or really anything. When we're walking around, our feet is what contact the ground. And we need to make sure that our feet are healthy so that it's able to sustain and propel our bodies forward. If we have great mechanics at the feet, that translates up to the rest of our body. Again, rock back and forth. And try to straighten out. So if you have to walk your hands out further because it's too much of a stretch, do so. We're going to try to keep our knees straight here initially. And bend one knee at a time. This will help to alleviate the pressure on the bent knee, but increase the pressure and the stretch on the straight knee. So this is why I'm going to alternate back and forth. You also have the option to, if it's too intense, to bend both knees simultaneously. Otherwise, keep them both straight and bend them and straighten them. So bend both the knees, keep doing that. Really focus on keeping a straight back. So every time you bend your knees, you want your back to get even straighter every time. That's what I'm doing here. So every single time you start to straighten back out your knees, you're not letting that bend in your back come back. You want it to stay straight as a board. This will really put a lot of stretch on those hamstrings. And this is important though because you want to take off any tension off of your lower back. Now we're going to finish this off by holding a bear pose. So on all fours, you're going to squeeze everything, squeeze your core, and lift your knees about an inch off. We're just going to hold this. So this is the last bit to now stabilize our core and stabilize the muscles in this range where we now have more elasticity. We'll come back out straight into downward dog. And walk towards your hands nice and gently and roll up. I want to thank you for following along in this video, and don't forget to share this with someone who you know would benefit, and don't forget to subscribe. If you subscribe, you will be the first to be notified of any new videos that I release in the future. Once again, thank you for your support.